Hello, welcome and welcome back to this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. So today's tutorial is about this simple chatbot. Here is what we're going to do, creating a simple chatbot with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This demo creates a basic chatbot interface with a clean design where users can type messages and receive predefined responses. This is the simple chatbot with this user interface or UI. Let's try this one using VS Code. So I have a project opened here. This is the tutorial demo project. From here we can create a file, give it a name, chatbot.html as an extension. And here we have an empty HTML file. Also, I will show you how you can start with your empty HTML file in order to generate a basic HTML boilerplate. You can use your keyboards and type this one. As you can see, here is the name Emmet abbreviation. After that, you can just press the tab button or the enter button to get the boilerplate of the HTML. As you can see now, we have this, and here we can change the name. We can add the name like simple chatbot. So next, we will go here. We will include the CSS and the JavaScript part in the same file here to make the demo simpler. Let's go here and start with the HTML. But before that, I will just try to show you here this extension. If you are on a VS Code, you can come here and install this preview in a way that we will see what we are working on from the UI or user interface. I have it installed, and what I can do here, I just come and select this file name and go here, show preview. So I can minimize this window here, and now whatever we're doing here from the HTML part, it should be displayed here. You can even use this URL to a browser to display the same thing. Inside body element tags, we create a div, and we add an ID attribute for this div. Let's say, for example, chatbox. After that, let's just accept this Copilot suggestion here. We have this basic div here. For the HTML part, we have this nested div inside. For the messages, we will use this one to create or to track the conversation between the user and the chatbot. As you can see here, we have the user here as you, and when the user writes here hello and press this send, the bot should respond with this one hi. But all what you can see here is just predefined. They are hard coded inside because we are not using any backend or API. This is for tracking the conversation. We have this input here, and here we have 3 attributes. And this is the send button with the label send, which is here. Let's try to make it look like this one here. We have this simple chatbot. So we can add a heading here. We can just copy this one and come here, add a heading inside like H2. This is the button. We will change this attribute here to onClick event listener and define a function, and that function will be called by this button. Whenever this button is clicked, it should call a function from the JavaScript. Let's change this one to onClick. Now we can use this function inside the JavaScript to make sure that whenever this button is clicked, it should call this function. And let's save this one and just make a quick demo here. See what happens. There's no reaction because we have to add the JavaScript to make it more interactive. Down below this div here, we can have some script here. Between we can define the first function, which is already here. Let's say function send message. We define 3 variables. let's say let user input equals to document the get element by ID user input value. Here the user input, yes. Let's define a second variable here, so we can change this one. Let messages equals to document the get element by ID messages. And now let's define the third variable. Let reply equals to, now we are going to call a function here which will be defined down below. So this is a function name called inside this send message function, and as you know it is called here inside the HTML part. So we will try to create or define a function with this name get reply. So next we can also try to make sure that the user doesn't send an empty string here. We can use an if statement for that. Let's say here if user input the trim equals to an empty string here. This is good so far. And messages the inner HTML equals to, so we will have this U as bolded here, and this will be the user input, and this should be the reply. And what we have here, document the get element by ID user input value equals to empty. So this one should clear this input whenever we send something, like when we write hello, and if the hello is displayed here, this input field should be emptied. So we will just see this placeholder there. So for now it's not working because we still have to define this function. What I would like to do is to make sure that there is a set timeout to give the bot to simulate like the bot is writing. When we ask something, we will decide for how long it will take for the bot to reply. And for that we can come here and just copy or cut this part here. We can add a set timeout to make sure we try to simulate here, like here set timeout function, and inside we have now the same line we have coded inside here. Messages the inner HTML equals to this messages in HTML plus here. We use this equal plus just to append whenever the user adds a new message. So when the user adds like hello, and then after that add another question, so those messages added by the user should be appended like one after another, and they will be displayed inside the div container which we have here, but we will see it a little bit later. And here we have this message scroll top, so we will also scroll the messages and we will make the demo and see. And we have this 500, this is 500 milliseconds, it is half a second the time the bot will reply. Simulate a delay for bot to response. So also we will try to change this one to just see the difference. And down below here we already have seen this one, it's just to clear this input field. And next, now we can just define this function outside this send message function, and the send message is still here. We go down here and now we have this suggestion. As you can see it, we can just accept and check out if this looks better. I already have a dictionary with some emojis, and we can also add those one later, but for now let's just try to check out if this works. So now we have the function here. As you can see, it is defined. We have the argument input and the function is called. This is its argument inside this send message function, and simple keyword based responses. So we define this variable here, const responses, and this is a dictionary. And as I told you at the beginning, all what we have here are predefined. They are hard coded here, so it is not coming out of the blue. Down below here we have this input, which is this argument used here to make sure that whenever we have this, like when we write hello into uppercase, it should be changed to lowercase to make sure that it will match with what we have here. And we have this return responses, then we have index here, input, or here, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. This also is a default response. If we ask the chatbot something outside what is predefined here, we should have this response here. Let's save this one and try to make the demo and see if it's working. So let's start with this hello, and we should have this response hello you, which is coming from here. We can even change it to user to make it more realistic. Hello, let's now write with this uppercase hello, and it should be changed from here to make sure that it matches with what is inside this dictionary here. Now we have the response here. Hello, how can I assist you today? Which is here. And how are you? And still handling this one. And we can write here bye. Yeah, goodbye, have a great day. Sure, what do you need help with? So what if we ask something outside this scope here? Let's say, what do you like? Send this one. As you can see, here is the response, which is coming from here. I'm sorry, I don't understand that because it is not defined here. This is not bad at all for now. I have here predefined dictionary which has those emojis, and we can also add them here. That's good. Here also we can add this line down here with the emoji and save it. Let's just test what we have done here again. Hello, hi there, and it's coming from here. And let me just try to change this part. I told you the set timeout is trying to simulate, trying to write or think about what we have asked. So this is half a second, 500 milliseconds. So what if we add a 0 there? Now we have 5000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. So whenever we ask something, it should take 5 seconds before we get the response. So let's again write here, for example, bye, and we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see now, we have the response. So this is just to simulate that it will take some time to get the response from this chatbot. We can stick with this 500 milliseconds here. And this is pretty clear here. What if we want to make some styling? As you can see here, this button looks this way. It's a little bit styled here, and probably we will get some suggestion also from this Copilot. And for that we can come between here, the head element tags, and we write style element tags. Inside here, see if we can get a suggestion. What if I just accept it and try to edit what is here? What I'm getting rid of, and display here, text align center, and we have this one there. This is the chat box. We can, for example, add like the box shadow down below here. In this box shadow we can, for example, have those values, and here we have, let me try to explain, RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha. Alpha here is for the opacity. We can, for example, change this one to 9, and you can see this is the box shadow. And if the value for red here is 0, and if we put it to 220, you will see it is red. And we do the same here for this green. How about the blue? Let me just stick with this green. Next, what we can do here, we can also add a background color for this one and also a hover over effect. We can add a background here, background color. How about this one? Green, color inside white, border none. We can get rid of the border radius, like 5 here, cursor pointer. So it's not bad. Let's add also hover over effect for this button here, which is already suggested. So you can see now we have this effect here. And let's come down below here. Try to simulate now like we are writing hello. And now we have this kind of display. And how are you? We have also this kind of response here. What is your name? I'm Chatbot 101. It's really nice to interact with this simple chatbot. Don't forget to give a like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye bye.